will fill this house with glory, says the Lord through the prophet Haggai. So what is the glory of God, and how can life be filled with this glory? Haggai was writing during a time of great discouragement. The people had come back from the exile in Babylon, which was wonderful, but they came back to ruins. They came back to a temple destroyed, a city destroyed, and so they had to rebuild with the rubble. And when they got finished rebuilding the temple, well, it didn't look all that great. They had meager resources. They put up a temple that was sort of humble, and well, it was a little trashy compared to their memories of the glory of the temple that King Solomon had built. And so Haggai imagines a much more beautiful building in the future that is shining with silver and gold, the riches of the nations. Now, of course, when God does decide to enter into this world with glory, it will look much different than Haggai could have ever imagined. And in a few weeks during Advent, we're going to explore the Gospel of Matthew and to see from Matthew's perspective how God did enter the world and how the riches of the nations did come to Jerusalem. But it wasn't exactly as Haggai imagined it. But today, as we imagine the glory of God in this place and this time, in this moment, we heard an encounter, really a conflict, between Jesus and the temple leaders of his day, the Sadducees. And interestingly, they're trying to test Jesus about his view on marriage and family. But Jesus is not going to fall into their trap. Now, this may surprise us even today, but Jesus says there are more important signs of a thriving life with God than marriage or family. Surprising, huh? Jesus says that a life risen in love is a sign of God's glory in this world. Jesus says that being a beloved child of God is a sign that our lives are thriving. Marriage and family has little or nothing to do with anything, according to Jesus. That's surprising, maybe a little shocking, right? Well, let me tell you a few stories about seeing this particular kind of glory of God, where lives are risen into the love of God and of being beloved children of God. First, the first story. Last weekend, I saw several glimpses of this glory of God. I was intrigued to have an experience a week ago, Saturday night, at a conversation that I had. And that conversation took me back a day before to a gathering I had had with American Baptist clergy in what we call our Together in Ministry group. We'd watched an excellent video called Becoming a Blessing. And as I mentioned last Sunday, the video told the story about a doctor who had suffered from Crohn's disease. And early in her young adulthood, she had to have a colostomy and be fitted. She was one of the first people 40 years ago to be fitted with a stoma appliance. And she has to wear that the rest of her life. It was moving to hear her story about how the fact was that she was healed. She found a way to be whole in that illness, but there was no cure for her disease. But thanks to the blessing of another woman upon her life, she found the courage to go on to become a doctor and to help other people with their healing. Well, after viewing that video, we had a beautiful conversation around the table about healing and wholeness. And after a prayer retreat, I came back to Sheboygan, and that Saturday night, a week ago Saturday, I went to this art exhibit at the Frank Juarez Gallery in downtown Sheboygan. Now, please don't judge me. Let me tell this story, and I hope you won't judge me in this story. I know, I'm part of the world of art as well as the world of the church. And so some of you I know think of the art world as being a little dubious. So please, if you would just withhold your judgment for a while. At this exhibit, which was entitled Identity, there were 25 people represented by the artist that created this exhibit. And for each person that had been photographed, it was an exhibit of photography, there was one photograph that displayed the person in their normal dress and what they looked like in an average day. Then right next to that photograph, there was a picture of that same person completely naked. And so each of the 25 people had 2 photographs side by side. And so we were all walking around, and it's, at least for me, it was a little awkward because, you know, we're all in the room with photographs of naked people. Now let me just say, these were not model type people. These were Sheboygan type people, ordinary people. These were Wisconsin type people, not model type people. And there we were. Now I noticed that there were some of the people there that had t-shirts on that said Identity on them. Now let's just, up front, let's just say everyone had all of their clothes on at this exhibit, okay? But there were a few people that had, actually 25 people that had these t-shirts on. It dawned on me, these are the people in the photographs. I know, it was a little awkward. Well, one pair of the photographs of all of them caught my attention. And the reason was, in the naked photograph, the woman was wearing a stoma appliance, which connected to that conversation in the video the day before of becoming a blessing. Well, earlier at the reception, I had seen the actual person, the woman there, having her picture taken in front of her nude photograph by a friend. Well, as the gallery filled with people, and it became really tight in there, I guess even in Sheboygan County, nudity in an exhibit attracts people because there were a lot of people there. So we were getting a little bunched up, and I noticed standing right next to me was this woman in the picture that was wearing her stoma appliance. So I had a little struggle of the spirit as I was standing next to this woman. Okay, do I talk to her? Don't I talk to her? Should I risk talking to her? Well, I threw caution to the wind, and I tapped her on the back, which, you know, when you've seen a person naked and in a room full of naked photography, it's a little bit almost intimate to touch the person. So she turned around, and I introduced myself. We started a conversation, and I said, you know, of all the photographs here, yours caught my attention, and let me explain, I said. You know, so I explained the day before we had seen this video about becoming a blessing and about the doctor who had had a stoma appliance and whose disease wasn't cured, but she still felt a sense of wholeness and was able to live and thrive. And I said to this woman, I said, thank you for having the courage to show yourself in this way and to encourage other people. Well, she just came alive. She started talking about stoma appliances, and I learned more about stoma appliances in those few minutes than I ever knew I needed to know. She told me that, well, you know, a stoma for a Crohn's disease appliance is different than a stoma for her condition, which was through bladder cancer. She had to have hers. And she talked about it some more. And I said, well, you know, thank you for being such a brave person again as I closed the conversation. And her friend next to her said, well, it's really thanks to me because I encouraged her to do that. And I said, well, you know, it's great to have friends like that, isn't it? And so we sort of laughed about that. And the woman, I hope, as she went away from that conversation, and I even said, you know, I'm a minister, that I had blessed her just a bit. That she perhaps walked away, and it seemed like she had more energy, she was a little bit more, a little taller as she walked away. That she felt herself even more a beloved child of God after that conversation. And certainly her friend had helped her to rise into a whole new view of her life and herself because of the encouragement to be so brave. Then I heard and saw another story of glory this week. And perhaps you saw this amazing video clip. I wish I could show it, but I haven't found a way to download it. It's the story of a middle school, high school team football team. And they planned a surprise play that truly became life-changing. And the video shows this heartwarming story of the Olivet Eagles middle school football team from Olivet, Michigan. And they created this play for one of the special needs players that was on the team, and it really gave him an opportunity of a lifetime. The team members, you see, without their coach's knowledge or permission, planned on giving Keith Orr, this special needs student, the ability to score a touchdown in the final game of the season. But they had to run the plays so that they could get as close to the end zone as possible without scoring, which made for some strange plays, and the coach did not seem to be happy from the sidelines. The video even shows one of the players sliding right to the edge of the end zone to avoid making a touchdown. And then it shows Orr being surrounded by his team as they give him the ball, and he steps over the end zone and makes a touchdown. And perhaps even more amazing than that play was listening to the players afterwards tell the story of how they had come to make this decision. And the quarterback, the receiver, and some of the other players talk about how it felt to create this event for this, for what could be perceived as their weakest player. One of the players, Justice Miller, said this: "I would not really have thought about this myself, making a difference in the life of someone treated like a nobody in our school. I went from somebody who cared only about myself," he said, "and my friends, to somebody who cared about everyone. And I want to try to make everyone's day happy." And what's even more amazing is he was crying as he said that. "I want to make everyone's day happy." That is real glory. And you could see it in the lives of those team members as they surrounded their friend. They showed some video clips of them as their friendship truly blossomed after that. They saw their weakest player as a beloved child of God. And their actions raised him, and really raised all of them, into a life of love. And that is a glory that is sublime for a middle school football team, no less. And so may we experience ourselves as beloved children of God. And may we also rise into a life of love so that we may bless many, many others.